Hey guys, it's the Peeps here with another Guild Wars 2 guide. Today we're going to be talking about fractals. How to get started, what is agony resistance, and when should you worry about it? And the final question that everybody's been asking, how to get to max agony resistance. Not that you have to worry about that until you get to the later tier 4 fractals. Let's dive in. Alright, so a lot of people have been asking on stream, and I see a lot like in my guild chat and things like that. People want to get into fractals, but they don't know how to. Questions about agony and things of that nature. So I'm going to try to put this as plainly as I can for anybody who's starting. So just start. I don't consider myself a very well-versed player. I know more than your beginner, but I don't know more than, people that have been playing this game since it first came out and have not stopped playing it. Because I started playing this game since it first came out, but I took many years of a break, and I'm just back a month ago. So if you have a level 80, you have exotic gear, get into fractals. It's that simple. The rewards are great. It's a good way to make money. A lot of people ask, "Oh, how can I make money easy?" Fractals. And it gives you great rewards on top of it. Like I just recently got my rings, my ascended rings, right? So great stats on both of them, and I mean, the rewards are there. Magic Find helps you a lot with Magic Find because you're going to be getting a lot of gear bags that you can just salvage. And while there's a lot of research out there for why you shouldn't salvage, why you should just sell it, or this or the other, I strongly believe that until you get to a point where salvaging is no longer viable for you, you need to salvage. For the simple fact that it's a good way for you to make money, and it increases your magic find. So when you salvage gear, you get magic find from it. There's a chance of you getting magic find. More times than not, you're going to. And if you use that magic find, it doesn't go away, right? So you're just building on that magic find. So I'm currently sitting at 95%. There are people that are like at 150. So it's very important for you to salvage what you can. And then what you're going to see is the more you do fractals and meta events, your materials that you're salvaging, your equipment, you're gaining materials. Those materials are going to start to fill up, and now you can sell that material on the trading post, and you start to make money. Right? So I just logged on now, and I had 4 gold sitting in my trading post from the fractals that I did on Sunday, and I just did a daily. That's it, which is what, like 4 or 5 maps that you do. So you see it starts to add up, over the course of some time. It starts to add up. All that aside, fractals, you're level 80, you have exotic gear. In Lion's Arch, I'll do Lion's Arch because it's the most common central point for everything that we do, crafting and so on and so forth. But you can do Black Citadel, you can do Divinity's Reach, wherever you're Radisum. They all have a portal to fractals. If you have this little guide that I do, which is where I just was, the Mistlock Sanctuary, which is basically Lion's Arch, but from anywhere in the map, you just double click on it, and you can get there, no cost. And then from there, you can travel to Lion's Arch, the main hubs: Lion's Arch, Black Citadel, Radisum, Divinity's Reach. You can travel to all of those areas free of cost. So it's a good way for you to get around without having to pay for 5 silver to go from one area of the map to the other. So yeah, so when you're in Lion's Arch, you want to go to Fort Mariner, and you see this little guy right here in the middle. This is your fractal portal, right? So you want to take this portal. It's on the south side of the island, right? So I usually spawn in at the traders forum because I'm doing something with the trading here. South side of the island, Fort Mariner. Gonna port in there. And then right in the middle, as soon as you spawn in, you can see it's the big pink one right in the middle. Sorry about that game. Right, that's the one right there, right in the middle. So I'm gonna go ahead and just literally walk up to it, and it lets me in, right? Now, I recommend you being, if you're gonna do fractals, I recommend you being at the, like here. I don't recommend you going in yet because when you join a party, they're going to be in a different instance of fractals than you are. So you're going to have to come back out and then go back in. So I highly recommend you queue up for fractals out here. So if you're starting, you're going to be in the initiate scales, right? 1 to 25. And I would start just by looking for people that are doing dailies. Okay, that's going to get you started because it's going to start giving you boxes, fractal boxes, and keys that you can unlock those boxes with so that you can get gear and you can get Agony. Agony, like every map, has a form of currency. Fractals, your currency is Agony. Okay, so what you're going to get is this guy, right? Agony Infusion. So by completing maps, just by completing maps, you're going to loot +1 Agony Infusions. That's your currency. So the higher, when you get to like higher tier, you'll start getting +3, +7, +9s, that kind of stuff. Or you can go to the vendors in Fractals, which we'll cover that later, but you can buy higher tier infusions. So, which you will use that on your armor. But a lot of people are asking questions, you know, oh, how do I get Agony resistance? How can I do fractals if I don't have Agony resistance? Well, you don't need Agony resistance to get started. By the time you finish tier 1, you should have 17 Agony resistance. Okay? You should. That's just to breeze through it. But most of the time, when you're doing dailies, when you just started, you're going to be getting carried. Right? You're going to be in a team with some people that are higher level than you are, have higher Agony resistance than you are, and they're just going to carry you through it. You're going to get Agony resistance. All it does is when you get hit by the boss or you get hit by some sort of mechanic from the game, it adds a dot on you, and your life will deteriorate. You can't heal past that. You cannot remove that condition. The only thing you can do is have Agony resistance so that it does less damage to you. So if you have higher resistance than what that specific fractal level calls for, you take no damage. Or the damage is like 1 HP per second. Right? So that's non-existent for you. If you don't have that, then you're getting 10, you know, much higher. You tick at a much rate. Or you can just get insta down by if you get hit by a mechanic. So having somebody that has a higher resistance on your team will help you get through that. And the reality is a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like to get carried. Fact of the matter is, when you start, these levels require no Agony resistance, right? So good to go. Start there. Queue up, T1 progression, right? And then boom, queue up. Start going, start doing it. You'll see in no time at all, you're going to be tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, right? I myself am only at tier 2, 37, but I've learned a lot by just progressing my line, right? The fact of the matter is we don't have a lot of people queuing up for tier 2 and tier 3s because there's not a lot of people out there. So but there's a lot of people that are afraid of getting into fractals because they feel that they don't have what they need in order to do this. That's why I'm saying, guys, get out there, start doing it. It's the only way you're going to learn. It's the only way you're going to get Agony resistance and start building it, right? Then what you could do is there is you can go to wiki Agony resistance, I think it's called. Right, so there's an Agony chart. This Agony chart is going to tell you at what your Agony resistance, how much damage you will take if you have X amount of Agony resistance. But more importantly, it's going to tell you, if you scroll past that, the suggested agony resistance. This is where it's important. This is what I was telling you guys. Right? Tier 1, any fractal less than level 20, you require, it's suggested no agony resistance. So in fractals, all the way up to here to solid ocean, there's no agony resistance required. By the time you get to 20, you will probably have agony resistance. Okay? So suggested is none. From there, right? From 20 up, there's a requirement, right? Or suggested. Doesn't mean you need to have it, suggested. So that you don't take agony resistance damage, or it's mitigated. So you can see that by the time you're closing out tier 1, you only need 17 agony resistance, right? But now comes the question, hey peeps, how do I get agony resistance, right? Okay. So here's where it gets interesting. You need to have ascended gear. So the only way for you to get infusions or to get agony resistance into your gear is to have infusion. So there's 2 ways you can do it. You can craft ascended gear, or you can buy it, or it drops. So I've been playing, and just recently I got a ring. It's a precision ring, right? So it's not the greatest, but it's ascended. So it comes with an unused infusion slot. So it drops. Not often, but it drops. The higher tier you have, and the higher your magic find, the greater the likelihood of you getting ascended gear on drops. That's why I'm saying start doing it. Salvage your mats. Use your magic find dust that you get. This increases the likelihood of you getting good drops. So I went the crafting route. Outside of my rings, everything that I have that's ascended, and I don't have everything, but everything that I do have was crafted. So my headpiece, I crafted. My shoulders, I crafted. The gloves were a drop from a chest, so I looted that. I crafted the leggings. And then these are my weapons. I haven't crafted weapons yet, right? But these are all crafted as well. Everything that you see here is crafted. And then the backpack is crafted, right? So you can craft, as long as you have a cook level 400, you can craft this backpack, and it lets you infuse it. It comes with an infusion slot. And then I bought the rings, right? Now, what you do is, once you start going into fractals, let me go in there. So once you start going into fractals, you're going to start getting the +1 infusions. With the +1 infusion, remember I said that's currency. Don't use that. Don't put a +1 on your armor as soon as you start, because you're wasting a slot. Now you're gonna destroy that, and you just lost currency. So when you at the end of each map that you complete, just come up here, deposit all materials, right? So it's gonna put all of your +1s into storage. Now, every time after you complete a map, you're going to come back in this area, right? This is the same for everybody, no matter how you join fractals, from where in the world you join, this looks the same for everybody. So you're going to be here. So what you're going to do is you're going to come down here, and you can take this little portal, which is going to put you in these little guys over here, or you can just jump. And don't worry, if you fall down, it just puts you back up there. You'll take a little bit of damage, but it just puts you back up. Trust me, I've done it. You're going to talk to this guy, Infuse 5959. So he's the merchant here that sells you all of your infusions, right? So there's a lot of merchants here. They all sell different things, fractal things. But he's the one that you're going to do infusions with. So you're going to come to him, and you can see here that it takes the infusion currency that I was talking about earlier. So in order for you to buy a +3 agony infusion for you to put on your armor, which is what I have here, right? This would cost me 4 silver, 48 copper, and 4 +1 Agony infusions that you get by doing fractals, right? So if you see, I hover here and I have 42 of 250. So I have 42 infusions, currency. So I can buy a +3, I can buy a +5, I can buy 2, right? So remember that what we said when looking at the chart. Remember what we said when you're looking at the chart, none required. Suggested 8, suggested 10. So to start, by the time I was at the end of tier 1, I was doing it with 10. Right? So what I did is I had crafted my headpiece and my shoulder piece. And guess what I did? I put a +5 each of them. Just came here, bought a +5, selected it, selected the infusion, and added to the infusion slot. So I finished tier 1 with 10. So that means, one, I had to watch out for the mechanics of the game, and I would take damage when I would get hit. But it wasn't that much because I had a 7 difference. Right? So if we look here, when I had 10, by the time I got to 20, to Fractals 20, I was taking 1% damage. That's nothing. Right? So by the time you're doing level 30, at 10, you're taking 19% damage. That's huge. So you're taking 20% of your life pool in damage. So this becomes significant, but it's not until you get to 30, right? Look at 20, it's 1%. No matter, once you hit 10, it's 1% all the way down, right? So it's not until you get to 20, what is it? It's not until you get to like closer to, I think it's like 24, where it starts to make that much of a difference, right? When it starts, yeah, see, when it starts to get to 24, it's 15% of your health pool, or roughly, that you're gonna, not 15%, but 15 suggested agony, but that's when it starts to stack up, starts to do damage to you. Not mandatory, but it helps. So for those of you that are getting started, and then you get to like me, right? I'm at personal best 37. So personal best 37, suggested agony. So the game tells you what in game it tells you what the suggested agony resistance is for this level. So it's 38. So if I pull up my hero, my agony resistance is 45. So I'm good. I can do 37, no problem. I don't need any pots. So agony mechanics, like when I get hit by a mechanic, agony is gonna do no damage to me, right? So I'm good. I'm good to go. Once I get to 44, that I did with somebody before, I was doing a daily, 44 required 50. Right? So by the time I got to fractal 44, I needed 50. So if I replace these two 5s with +7s, I'm good to go. I'm there. Right? Because I'm at 45. I would be what, at 49? I could a 1 agony resistance difference, non-existent to damage. So I can go all the way to 44, which is here, where I am. Right? But what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to get at, is when we queue for tier 2, there's hardly anybody on here doing progressions. Everybody's doing the dailies and then they're gone, right? Because everybody's like relic farming, they're doing those kind of things to buy gear, and that's fine. Like if you want to relic farm, a lot of people, when you get in here and you queue up, you'll see people on Fractals, you'll see it'll say T1 Rex. That means they're relic farming, right? Relic farming is your fractal currency to buy gear. So infusion, +1 infusion, is your currency to buy infusions, and relics is your currency to buy, is your fractal currency to buy gear, ascended gear. So remember that I said that I bought my 2 rings. I almost went off the edge there. I bought my 2 rings. right? Bought these two guys. Each ring is 10 fractal relics. And the only way you get fractal relics is doing dailies, right? So the higher tier, the more relics you get. If you do the basic tiers, I think you get 3 relics per daily that you do. It's RNG, but it's almost there. So you would come to this merchant right next to where we were buying Infusion, and you buy your rings, right? So I'm power based, right? I'm doing DPS Ranger, Soul Beast Ranger. So I went for Ring of Death and Crystalline Band. I got Ring of Death first, and then the following day I grinded out more dailies, and then the following day I got Crystalline Band. Now you can see that the Crystalline Band that you get from that's on the left here with all the green stats, that's from the merchant. It's the same stats, but because it's new, it shows green. But the only difference is that the ring on the left that you see there has 1 infusion slot. The ring on the right, which is my ring, has 2 infusion slots. So a lot of people then, once you start playing, you start seeing people coming in and they have like 150, 120, whatever. And then they start asking, well, you start asking questions, well, how do I get there? Right? If everything has 1 infusion slot, and let's say I put 10 infusion slots on everything, you're talking about 6 pieces of gear, so that's 60. And then you're talking about a backpack, that's 70. And then you're talking about 1 ring, you're talking about 2 rings, so that's going to be 80, right? So now you start to ask, well, how do they get to 120, 100, and whatever, wherever they are? Well, you do something that's called you attune, and you infuse your rings and your rings. So that will give you, if you see my rings are attuned, right? So remember when I was showing you next to the vendor, when you buy the ring, it's just a crystalline band. If you look at my rings, they say attuned. So what did I do? I took them to the Mystic Forge and I attuned them at the Mystic Forge, which gave me 1 extra infusion slot. So if I infuse craft, not just infuse with infusion, but if I infuse craft my ring now, I'll get an extra infusion slot, right? So let's take this step by step. Let's attune the ring. Let's talk about attuning the ring. When you attune a ring, you're going to come to this guy. No, I'm sorry. You're going to come to your infusion guy, second to last bag, and you're going to buy an agonized essence, right? And this agonized essence is what you're going to use in the forge along with 2 other items plus your ring, your ascended ring, to add an infusion slot to it. And we'll cover those other 2 items when we get there shortly. Now, if the ring that you're using to add an additional infused slot on it is already infused, so like this one, for example, right? It already has infusions on it. If I wanted to add a 3rd slot to it, it would erase that resistance that I have on there. So what I need to do is from this vendor on the second to last bag, I will buy the infusion extraction device. So I'll buy 1 so I can show you guys. Where is it? Oh, it's here. It's here, right? So you double click this, and then you're going to select your ring. You're going to select that ring, and you're going to drag it in here, right? And now it's going to tell you it'll extract the agony, right? So now what this does is it extracts the agony resistance, the infusions, but it does not damage the ring, and it does not destroy the ring, and it does not destroy the infusion that you're removing. It's simply an extraction. It's not a salvage. It's not like in previous game or other games where you have to pick one or the other, you know. It has nothing to do with that. If you put the ring as is in the Mystic Forge to craft another infusion slot, then it will destroy the agony infusion that you already have on there. So if you extract it first, it removes them and leaves the ring like this with no infusion slots. And these 2 infusions go into your inventory. So, okay. So after, let's say we've removed the agony infusion. Okay, let's go add a slot to our ring. Let's go attune our ring. So let's travel to Lion's Arch, because that's most likely where you guys are going to be. Lion's Arch, Black Citadel. And let's go to the Mystic Forge. So remember that I told you guys that you need 3 items plus the Ascended Ring, right? So the 3 items that you need is that agonized orb that we showed. It's the agonized orb that we showed, right? Agonized essence, a philosopher's stone, and a +1 agony infusion, right? That by now, if you're trying to get rings, odds are you've gone through several fractals, and you're trying to, or I'm sorry, if you're trying to add a second infusion slot to your ring, that means, one, you have an ascended ring, so you've either been playing fractals for some time to buy that ring, or it's dropped for you from playing it for such a long time. So you're gonna have the +1 agony, which is your currency, right? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna buy your agony essence, 1 of it. So it's 1 per attunement. So if you have 2 rings, you need 2, right? That you're working on. Then you're gonna go to your bank, and then in your crafting materials, you're gonna look for agony, right? And here you go. I have 42 +1, so I need 1 per ring. So I'm gonna separate them, right? So I need 1. I need the. Did I put it in my? Did I buy it? I don't think I bought it, because I don't think I have the. Oh, my rings are attuned already, right? So you need 1, and then the Philosopher's Stone. Let's go get the Philosopher's Stone. Philosopher's Stone you buy at your Mystic Forge vendor for 1 Spirit Shard. 1 Spirit Shard gives you 10 Philosopher's Stones. So it's a good trade. So now you ask, well, how do I get Spirit Shards? Right? Spirit Shards, you get 1 Spirit Shard every time your Mastery bar is full and you've gained enough experience to gain another level. There, so that gives you a Spirit Shard, right? So if you're working on a mastery and the mastery is maxed, and that mastery is maxed, and you don't have any points to move on to something else, you're still accruing experience. So once you've accrued enough experience to fill up that bar again, it would instead give you a Spirit Shard, right? That's one way to do it. Second way to do it is if you have tomes. So do I have a tome here? If you have a Tome of Experience, so Tomes of Experience is a little book that you get periodically throughout the game. If you're below level 80, it gives you a level. If you're at level 80, guess what? Because you're at level 80, you get a Spirit Shard by opening it. So if you just open your tomes, if you open it once, you're gonna get a Spirit Shard, and now you're gonna be able to get a Philosopher's Stone. So let's go that. Let's go to Lion's Arch. If you've never been to the Mystic Forge is a big glowing crystal over a pool right next to the Trader Forum, right next to the bank. So if you go to the Trader Forum, Trader Forums, right? The bank is right here. This is the bank when you spawn in. So the bank is here. The Mystic Forge is this big pool right here. Okay? Let me see. I can't zoom in any more than this. So bank is this big tree here, and here's the Mystic Forge, and the waypoint is right in between. Right? So this big pool. What you're looking for here is this vendor. Where is she? Somebody's standing on top of her. Or did she not load in yet? She didn't load in yet. Oh, she did load in. Okay. So you're looking for the vendor, right? So walk up to her, talk to the vendor. What do you have for sale? And now here you're looking for Philosopher's Stones. See, 1 Spirit Shard for 10 Philosopher's Stone, right? So you would buy it. I already have Like I had 10, I used 2 already, so 8. Now what are you going to do once you have it? You're going to come here, engage in the Mystic Forge, right? So once you get the interaction menu, you're going to interact with it. And now remember, Mystic Forge is always a combination of 4 at the Mystic Forge. So remember what I told you, right? So I have a ring. So I would add the ring. I would add the Agony of Infusion. I would add so you need to have it in your person. You can't be in the bank when you get this. I forgot to mention this earlier. That's why we went to the bank and we extracted. We put this in our inventory, right? So then you would add the agonized essence, and the Philosopher's Stone here, and then you would hit Forge. For the sake of the video, let's go do that real quick. I'll do it in the video so I can show you guys. So, fractal. Doesn't matter. Okay. About that. While I'm here, let me go to the bank. Now I'm looking for Philosopher. Here you go. Philosopher's Stone. This guy, and then this guy. Okay. So there you have it. Go to the Mystic Forge, right? So, Agony Infusion, Philosopher. So now you can see that it already blocked everything out, and it just left the materials that I need, right? So, Philosopher's Stone. It doesn't matter that you have 8; it's only going to use 1, or 10, or however you have it. It'll only pull whatever it needs for the recipe, which is 1. The Agonized Essence, and the ring. So see, this ring only has 1 unused infusion slot, right? Okay. Generate a new item, Forge. What it gives you is an attuned whatever the ring is, right? So now it has 2 unused infusion slots, right? So now you heard me say 3 rings can have up to 3 infusion slots. So this is a way to attune the ring to get an extra slot. The other method is to infuse the ring, right? To get a 3rd. So to infuse the ring, it's a little more expensive. So if we go back to Fractals, this requires items that drop in Fractals, and the higher the tier you're in, the greater likelihood, or they only drop, certain pieces of this will only drop in certain levels of Fractals, right? So, crap, I always go around the wrong way. In this, for this one, the 3 pieces that you're going to need plus the ring, the 3 pieces that you're going to need you get right from here. You don't have to go anywhere else. You can buy from here, or you should have some from doing Fractals. So I haven't done, so you saw, right, my max is 37, and I have some of these items. I don't have enough to do the full, but I do have some. So you come back to the Golem, Infuse 5959. Go back to the second to last bag, and here are the 3 items that you're going to need, plus the ring, the 4th item. So these are the 3 items that you're going to need, right? But now what gets interesting is that they require fractal relics, right? So remember what we talked about, the fractal relics being the currency for gear. It's also the currency for buying these pieces. But the interesting fact is that you need a specific amount. Nope, that's not it. This is what I'm looking for. Right? You need a specific amount of each for crafting that. So if you're crafting, an infused ring, which is what we're doing now, we're infusing the ring for that extra slot. The recipe is the same, whether you're doing to an attuned, which is what we're gonna do now because we already have an attuned ring, or if you're doing infusing it first, does not matter. The recipe is the same. You're gonna need that ring, whatever that ring is. You're gonna need 5 vials of condensed mist essence. You're going to need 3 globs of coagulated mist essence, and you're going to need 1 shard of crystallized mist essence, right? So 5, 3, 1. So if you come back in here, you're going to need 5 globs, you're going to need 3 vials, and you're going to need 1 shard. So currently, as it stands now, I have these 2 pieces done. I'm farming fractals to get fractal relics to get the shard, and I'm almost there, right? If I do dailies again, tier 1 and tier 2 dailies, done, right? I'll be able to get that, and then I will be able to infuse my ring. Now to infuse it, it's the same process that we just did with the attunement. You're gonna collect these items, you're gonna buy these items in the quantity specified. And mind you, this is just for this information is in Guild Wiki, guys. So you can just from in game you can just /wiki infused rings, and you'll find it, right? So you would go to Mystic Forge, and you're gonna add the right quantities of these because you're gonna have the right quantity. You're not gonna have an abundance of it, not to start off with. Because if I'm not mistaken, this one, shards of crystallized mist essence, only drops in like levels 50 to 100, if I'm not mistaken, or higher. So actually there's one, yeah, 50 to 100, I believe. So I won't get this until I start getting to that level. But to get to that level, I'm most likely going to need higher resistance than where I am, so I might need that earlier. And not to mention that it takes 2 gold to buy also. So once you have those pieces, you head back to the Mystic Forge, you add those 4 pieces into the Mystic Forge, and voila, you will now have an attuned, you're going to have an attuned crystalline band, parentheses, infused. So now that ring will have 3 slots, infusion slots. Then you can just go and take the Agony infusion that you had removed and then re-add them back in, or you can come to the merchant and you can buy more infusion, right? So the choice is yours. A lot of people have questions about, oh well, what are these different bags, like a +3, +5? I had that question. What's the difference between this +3, this +1, +3, +5, +7, so on and so forth? It's because that's the currency, right? So we're looking at the +1 Agony because that drops with almost all the time. So the currency for anything in this bag here is +1 Agony. Anything in this bag takes a +3 Agony infusion currency. So if I buy 1, so I have 1, right, in my inventory. So let me see. I have 1 in my inventory. If I come here and I buy this Agony infusion, and I come here, I will now have 2 +3 Agony infusions, right? So I would need a +4. I would need 4 +3 Agony infusions to buy this +5. Yet this +5 does the same thing as this +5 does. The only difference is that it takes less currency to get there because it's a higher level currency, right? Same thing. You can see that in order for me to get a +11 Agony infusion, I need 1,000 +1. I need 1,000 +1 Agony infusion, 1,024. But if I go to the +9 Agony infusion, I only need 4. And to get +9, I need 256. So there's a trade-off, right? What do you want to do? Now the thing is, once you get to the higher tier fractals, these +3, +5, +7 infusions begin to drop. So they begin to act as currency for you for these slots, right? So that's what I'm saying. Start, just start. Start playing. You don't need Agony resistance. You don't need infused slots. You just need exotic gear. That's it. And exotic gear, you can buy it or you can craft it. I crafted all my gear. And for those of you that don't know yet about the website, there's a website that takes you step by step, gw2crafts.net, takes you step by step on how to craft to get to level 500 on all professions. You would come to gw2crafts.net, and this is where you're going to find all your recipes, whatever your profession is, to level up your crafting and get your exotic gear, right? Or if you're in a guild and you know somebody, you know, you're in a guild and you just ask in guild, like, hey, does anybody have a level 500 huntsman or armorsmith or, you know, weaponsmith? And odds are there's somebody in your guild that is. Say, ask them to craft it for you if you provide the materials, right? Look up the recipe and provide them the materials. Send it to them. If they agree to make it for you, just, you know, be a good sport and say, listen, can somebody craft a level 500 armorsmith can craft me an exotic weapon if I send you materials? Who's going to say no to that, right? If they do, you're in the wrong guild. So yeah, that will get you started on fractals. That'll get you started on strikes. That'll get you started on all end game content, right? So that's what you want to be. That's where you want to be. Exotic gear, exotic weapons, so you can progress to ascended. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it here. I hope you guys found this informative. I hope you guys liked it. If you guys have any more questions, if you like this type of content and you want to see more, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell so you get notified when I drop more of these videos. All right, it's the peeps out.